and things didn't come out well. And I got to fall on the sword today because I called somebody important in this room by the wrong name. My name is Bob, not Adam. No, I called her Jennifer instead of Rachel, and I'm so Rebecca. See, I did it again. Oh my gosh. That is the week I have had, y'all. I know her name. I know it's Janice, and it's fine. So with that, I'm going to stop talking and give it to Angela.
I was going to not do that, but thank you, Adam. All right. I'm going to introduce our amazing speaker today, who is Rebecca Cary, formerly known as Jennifer Rachel, the founder of Hands of Justice, consultant, speaker, educator, and overcomer leader. She is a recent graduate of Sam Houston, has a master's in victim studies. She holds a co-chair and survivor position on the board of the Montgomery County Coalition Against Human Trafficking and serves on the Survivor Leader Council for the state of Texas. She was featured in a PSA as well as a short film for the new Goya Care Initiative, appeared on NBC, has also been an endorser for the Can You See Me campaign, led by A21 in various cities throughout Texas. In May of 22, she published her first book, When Silence Ends, which features overcomer stories from across the United States. As of July 22, Rebecca opened up an economic empowerment and resource center for survivors of human trafficking in Conroe. This is the first of a kind within several counties in Texas. Please give a warm welcome to Rebecca Cary.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. Good morning, anyways. Again, my name is Rebecca Cary. I'm the founder of Hands of Justice. And for those of you that don't know, again, I am a survivor of domestic sex trafficking as well. And today I've been asked here to come and share just a little bit about what we do as an organization. But before I do that, I always like to share a little bit of the reality of what human trafficking looks like in the United States, but especially here in the state of Texas. Has anybody ever attended a human trafficking 101 session of any kind? Wow, okay. This is why we educate. It's still hard for me to believe that in 2023, there are people out there that believe that human trafficking does not exist, especially in the United States, which it very much does, or that if it does exist, that it's not a big problem. But I am getting ready to show you the reality of what that looks like. As of 2023, it is estimated that 45.8 million men, women, and children are being trafficked worldwide. 3 million of those are children. 70% of them are women, but it's now estimated about 30 to 35% of that as men as victims. In the state of Texas, there is 313,000 victims of human trafficking. 79,000 of those are children. In the city of Houston, 1 out of 5 people that are being trafficked in the United States will pass through Houston at some point. There is 2,900 men, women, and children being trafficked in the city of Houston every day. This is a crime that is often hidden in plain sight. It's one of those that is happening all around you. It is people sitting next to you at church, kids sitting next to your kids in school, people sitting next to you in your office. It is not people being kidnapped off the streets and locked into basements and sold. It is very, very different. Nowadays, how many in here have children or grandchildren? Nowadays, the way that people are being trafficked is online. During 2020, all children had to go online, right? Most of them. And human trafficking rose about 400% during the pandemic. 400%. That means that most kids that are being trafficked now, which the average age is about 14 years old, are being groomed and then sold online. Don't get me wrong, though, it doesn't just happen to kids. It very much happens to adults as well. I was trafficked when I was 21 years old for about 2.5 years. So I hope that gives you a little bit of a glimpse of what we are dealing with. This is a dark, complicated subject that most people don't want to even take the time to listen about or talk about. So thank you for allowing me to come here and share, first of all. But then knowing that it is happening, it is an issue here, is the first step in helping curb what's going on. So Hands of Justice is a survivor-led anti-trafficking nonprofit located right here in the heart of Montgomery County, Texas. Last year, we've been around since 2017, but last year we opened up the first Economic Empowerment and Resource Center in Conroe. It is one of the first of its kind. We thought we were the only one in the area, the Tri-County area, but we realized we are the only entity of this kind within the Tri-State area. There is no other center like this, and it is out there and it's changing lives. And I want to share a little bit about what that looks like, and hopefully this video will play for you guys. It's done. It's done. Hopefully it'll play.
Hi everybody, my name is Rebecca Cary and I am the founder of Hands of Justice, which is an anti-trafficking nonprofit organization here in Montgomery County, Texas. About a week and a half ago, we had the privilege of finally opening the doors to our new Economic Empowerment and Resource Center for overcomers of trafficking here in Conroe, Texas. This place is way more than just a building. It's a safe and welcoming environment for overcomers to come and do life with other overcomers. And today I get the privilege of showing you the new Economic Empowerment and Resource Center. So come on in and let me show you around. This room is for educational purposes. A lot of these men and women, when they come out of the life, they are in need of obtaining their GED or they have dreams of going back to college. At Hands of Justice, we do offer scholarships for the men and women who need to get a GED, would like to get a certification, or go back to college. On top of tuition, we offer books, laptops, clothing, essential items needed for educational purposes. And this room is just open for them at any time should they need to come up here and use the internet to access their classes and or their schedule. This is one of my favorite rooms in the whole center. This is a room that is specific towards our survivor-led support groups. We've already started hosting support groups here. We have 3 of them per week. It's a bright, cheerful, welcoming room. Our girls love it and I love it, and we can't wait to host more support groups here in the future. This room is used for our educational seminars, our trainings, and our volunteer orientations. It's also used for many, many events that we hope that you all will come out to and join us in the future. The next room that I'm going to share with you is a personal passion of mine. This room is our Dignity Boutique, and it's full of brand new essential items for everyday use or clothing that can be given to an overcomer who needs clothing for interviews or for upcoming new jobs or even school. Everything in here is brand new and been donated and given to us by volunteers such as yourself. And we are excited to be able to extend this further into the community so that they can continue to heal. Hands of Justice has a lot in store for the future of human trafficking survivors, and we hope you will continue to support us as we help those thrive. Our doors are always open, so we hope you come out and see us. Thanks, everybody.
Here. Yeah. She's on my advisory council. I absolutely love her. Okay, so next slide, please. There we go. So I just wanted to explain, again, we opened our doors in July of 2017, and what you just saw was when we opened our doors. Since then, in the last couple months, especially since the beginning of this year, we have had so many clients come through our doors, we've had to expand. So that group room that you just saw has been moved to a room that's about 3 times as big now. We have a group every day of the week except for Wednesday now. We have nationwide groups across the state and the United States. These are online or they're in person. The difference between these support groups is that every single one of them is survivor-led. Every single one of them has a survivor or overcomer that is in there leading these men and women through life. We just opened a support group for men, and we also opened up a support group. How many in here know Dawn Candy? Yeah, very good friend of mine, and she's on our board of directors. And she has her own story, but she actually hosts our family support group because she knows she gets it. we love that these overcomers are given a chance to rise into leadership position and then just walk alongside these men and women in a way that they understand a little different. We now have trauma therapists on campus. So we have 2 therapists now. They are so inundated with clients that we've had to add on 2 more as of April. We will be bringing them in. That's how many people are needing help and services that are offered out there. And they do things such as EMDR and what's called accelerated art therapy, accelerated resolution therapy, which is specific to those who are dealing with prolonged trauma. It's amazing, excuse me, to be able to provide those services because a lot of these men and women need that therapy but can't afford that therapy. So we help them with that. And tutoring assistance, as you saw or heard, a lot of these men and women come out of the life with no GED period or diploma. So we help them get their GED. We will offer tutoring. We will help pay for their testing. And if they have a diploma and they're wanting to get a certification or go to college, we will help them with that as well. So we have a scholarship program, which gives them about $1,500 per semester, depending on their need. And so that's actually been a life-changing thing. We also partner with Sam Houston State University, as well as University of Houston Downtown and Lone Star. And they help these women. They have kind of come alongside us and helped create almost a special needs program for these men and women. So if they need the extra help, because I mean, if you've been to college, what I'm sure most of you have been, it's overwhelming, but it is extremely overwhelming for somebody who's gone through trauma. A lot of them won't make it. And so just having that extra help, it makes a difference. We do job skills classes. We have life skill classes, which touches on boundaries and, self-care, as well as finances and things like that. Our Dignity Boutique, again, you saw the tiny little room in the beginning, but it has grown so much. It's now 3 times the size that you just saw. We have 3 or 4, if not more, a week come in and shop in there. A couple months ago, I had a young 16-year-old who was rescued from her situation who came with only the clothes on her back. So she had nothing. So for her to come in there and get brand new items and get it for free and just feel like somebody's cared for her, that makes a difference to them. So if you're wanting to donate any brand new items of any kind, we will take them. Social enterprise, we're getting ready to open, which allows for these overcomers to use their own gifts and their talents to create a business and then to go out there and help implement them. A lot of these men and women have dreams of what they want for their future. They just don't know how to get there. So that's our job, is to help them find that and help hone it in there. We are partnering with the local markets in Conroe, New Cheney and Montgomery, and we're getting ready to do some others, which will allow them to have free booth space to start their businesses. And then occasionally we will help with the rent for these men and women. Right now I have 5 young ladies that have been living in a hotel for about a year because there are no beds for survivors. Residential, most people think once these men and women come out of their life, they go into a safe house. The truth is there's about 2,400 beds nationwide for survivors of trafficking. And we just learned there's 313,000 victims right here in the state of Texas alone. That show you most of these men and women are out there doing life on their own. So having a place like this, we really are there for those that are not in a residential program or who have aged out or graduated from a residential program, offering them more long-term supportive services. Make sense? Yes, okay. Our book that Angela talked about, it is called When Silence Ends. This came out to last May, and it's now been picked up by some of the major colleges. So Sam Houston has taken our book. This is a book full of 20 overcomer stories, my stories in there, and 19 other of my good friends across the nation. And we partnered them up with artists in the Houston area who took their stories and depicted it in art. And then we put educational pieces in there. So if it's somebody who went through human trafficking through like the pornography industry, then we're going to give all the facts about human trafficking in the pornography industry, and then so forth. And this book is now being used at Sam Houston in curriculum for their victim studies program. So these students have to read this book, which is awesome. And they're learning not only about the facts of human trafficking, but hearing firsthand stories of how it happens. And we're working on Lone Star as well as University of Houston Downtown to do the same. Okay. How you can support our mission, you can just click on down for me. So there's a couple of ways. do. If you have never attended a human trafficking 101, which most of you haven't, I would encourage you to do so, which you can do next Thursday at the center in Conroe from 6 to 8, and it's 8:30 really. But if you're ever wanting to volunteer at our center, you do have to come to this. It's a volunteer, it's a mandatory volunteer training. You can register for it by going onto our website. But once you go to that, you're going to learn the signs to look for, and then honestly, you're going to start seeing it everywhere. And then you're going to realize, like, hey, I can help somebody now because I know what to look for and I know what to do. And then you'll be able to refer clients to us. We always are in need of donations. Again, the boutique is only there because of people like you who donate to it. We always need funding, unfortunately. It's just part of nonprofit work. And then educational purposes. So if you ever have a group that you would like to come and for me to come and speak and tell my story, as well as educate, I've done it for several other groups. I would love to do that. And then next month, we have our annual Fashion for Freedom. This is actually, I say annual, it's our first one, but it is going to be at the Glade Arts Foundation, which I'm sure most of you know where that is. This is a great way for you to support us as a nonprofit, but also overcomers, because most of the models that are walking will be survivors. Some of these are men and women who have had dreams of being models. And so for them, it's kind of redeeming to be able to walk through this and do it safely. It is on April 21st. It's at 10:30, and we would love for you to come out. If you would like to do that, you can just go onto our site. That's the QR code, and you can buy tickets from there. And that really is it. This is my personal information. If you need my email, this is my personal email as well as my personal phone number. I'm on call 24/7. So if you ever need any question or know of somebody that needs help or you have questions, please let me know. Did you have a question? So it's accelerated resolution therapy. It's the new EMDR, basically. So do you know anything about EMDR? Yeah. So EMDR kind of goes into the details of their experience, whereas the resolution therapy touches more on their feelings. So it's not as invasive for them. Yeah. Anybody else have questions? No? Yeah.
What is your gala again?
My gala is Outreach for Freedom. We have that every year. This year we are taking a break from that, so we'll have it again next year. In August, we will have a dinner and like a concert with Julie Peters' husband's band. Yeah, so he'll be out and we'll be doing that instead. Yeah.
Just how many of these folks are suffering from PTSD, and what is your method of handling that other than MDR?
So I have yet to meet a survivor who does not suffer from PTSD or some form.
Any individual that doesn't have.
Yeah. Well, that's severe. So we do work with them one-on-one for that. Our support groups help because, again, we're walking through life with them as they're going through these experiences, EMDR, art therapy, any kind of therapy. We do a lot of trauma work with them. So again, this is why it's so important that if you're going to volunteer at the center, you come to that volunteer orientation, because we will really, really get into trauma-informed care and what that looks like with these survivors. Anyone else?
It's like is there a definition?
Yes, there is. Absolutely. It is the exploitation of a person for either labor or sex via force, fraud, or coercion. So it has to have one of those three elements in play. If one of those three elements is not in play, it's technically not considered trafficking. Keep in mind, though, if you're under the age of 18 and you're being forced, tricked, or blackmailed, which is coercion and fraud, then you are automatically considered a victim. So anybody under the age of 18, you do not have to prove force, fraud, or coercion. If you're over the age of 18, like I was, if you wanted to take your trafficker to court, you have to prove one of those three. Make sense?
You mentioned taking somebody to court. I mean, what's the conviction rate?
Less than 0.1%. 45.8 million people, and less than 0.1% of traffickers will be prosecuted. It is, I will tell you, the one good thing to hear about all of this sadness is Even though Texas has some of the major cities in the United States for trafficking, we are also we are the number one state when it comes to combating trafficking. So y'all need to be proud of the state of Texas. You have some great law enforcement and some great, the coalition here in Montgomery County is actually leading the country in the way of things. You guys doing some good things out there, getting educated and then spreading the word is a good thing. So know that Texas is doing great.
One more question.
Yeah.
Can you explain sextortion to our group?
Sextortion?
Yeah.
So it's a little bit different than trafficking, but sextortion is basically the best way to explain it would be like an ex taking, like an ex boyfriend or girlfriend taking like nude photos and putting them online, or somebody else getting like grooming a young child and saying, hey, send me some nude pictures, and then using them to blackmail them. Now that is trafficking, but the other one is more of they're just trying to get back at their ex or something like that. Does that make sense to you guys? A little different than trafficking, but unless it involves blackmail where they're actually using a child, and it's very complicated, guys. It's not. How many of you have seen the movie Taken? No, not that many. Okay, well, it's a horrible, horrible show for trafficking. I mean, it was a very popular show during its time, but that's what most people think about when it comes to trafficking. I think kids are being snatched up off the streets and locked in the basements, when in fact, that's just not the case. It's about 2% of all cases in the United States involve kidnapping. So it is more looking like what you just described. Anything else? Yes.
2 questions. Number one, can you demonstrate for people when a child is in distress and you see someone, how they signal other people if they're in distress with, with a hand wave?
Yeah. So you're talking about this thing?
Yes, usually behind their back.
Yes. So I'm going to be pretty honest about that. That is a fad. We don't encourage kids to do this because as popular as this got, if anybody's seen this hand signal, it's commercials and it's a thing online where a kid is in a situation and they do this to somebody else and that person recognizes that they're in trouble. We don't encourage them to do that because if everybody else knows what that signal means, who do you think else knows? Their trafficker. So it puts them in a very precarious and scary and dangerous situation to do that.
And what percent of the people do not survive trafficking?
I don't know the percentage, but a lot. I can tell you if they don't survive, I can tell you only 2%, less than 2% get out of their situation. So out of that 45.8 million, I'm a lucky one because most of them will not. If they lose their life within trafficking, I don't know that percentage, but it's normally a lot of our survivors will either lose their life in the situation, which the average age of surviving it is 7 years. After that, a lot of these men and women will not survive because of addictions or suicide. We've lost 3 since January. Yeah. And actually, we had another one that was murdered in Michigan by one of their dons. It is a hard, hard reality. That's probably the hardest part of my job is knowing that most of these men and women are not going to make it.
And you talked about the going after the criminality. How about civilly?
Civilly, oh gosh, that's a whole different situation. And right now, there's nothing when it comes to that. A lot of these men and women are scared to come forward and to go after them criminally and not have any justice there. They most of the time won't go civilly as well. Does that make sense? Yeah, a lot of the times that's not going to happen. Yeah. Anything else?
You said a lot about victims. It seems to me like there's somebody up there pulling the strings, right? And that would be a smaller group of people, I'm assuming, that multiple girls, one guy. What's being done or what can be done like that to eliminate perpetrators, not what I'm saying, and kind of minimize things. To me, that seems like a faster way to attack the situation. Can you speak to that at all?
I agree. If there's no demand, there is no trafficking. And that comes down to the Johns the buyers, basically. I hate the word Johns because it's silly. But buyers, but also the traffickers themselves. The best thing for us to do right now, there is 5 different new acts being passed through the legislation. It's for us to go out and vote and us or contact our Congress and let them know, hey, we want this passed. There is one that was passed. Has anybody heard of demand disruption? They are in Houston. They work specifically towards reintegrating and targeting the buyers. And not the traffickers so much, but the buyers, because it's now a felony in Houston, or excuse me, Texas, the only state in the United States to purchase sex. Whereas other states are starting to follow suit because we've passed that. But honestly, it's we had 8 new acts passed last year that all had to do with human trafficking. Some of them very good, some of them not so good. And then we have 5 more on the table. So the best thing to do is to get involved in that part of things, get acts and new laws passed.
Do you have a way of taking any type of like a recurring or monthly donation?
Yes, ma'am. You can go onto our website, and at the very top, there's a donate button. And it's PayPal, but they have a reoccurring button on there as well. And then we would love for you guys, even if you don't want to volunteer at the center, but at least come out and see it. And the video is, it needs to be updated since August because we've grown so much. But if you see it, you'll understand a little bit better what we do. And then also why it's so effective rather than residential facilities. All right, anything else? All right, well, thank you all so very much for having me. And we hope you see you at the fashion show, if not anything else.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Bianca. We really appreciate it. I'm going to change her name every time I talk to her. That's why I said Bianca, right? All right. No, you're doing some fantastic things. I do have one more question for you here. If there's one thing that we can do to support you as a group, as individually, what is that one thing that you really, really need help with?
I hate asking for money, but financial assistance, it's money, yeah. Okay. But the other thing is coming to like our event, like because not only are you supporting us by coming, but you get to have a good time yourself.
Gotcha. So if it's on somebody's heart that they want to donate today, would they be able to go online? Do you have a QR code? What's the easiest way to do it?
There's a QR code that I had. We can pull that back up. But also, they can write me a check or they can go online. Yeah.
Check. What's that?
I know, right?
I never heard of it.
I'll still take it.
All right. No. Do not write bad checks, y'all. That's rude. All right. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. Give her another big round of applause.